Yes. All right. Okay. Let's get started. Welcome to our Alumni AMA today. I'm your host from Flatiron School, Lindsay Williams, and joining me today is 2023 grad Amelia Freeman, junior consultant for German company agineo, here to talk about her journey to Flatiron School and what she's up to now. Amelia, thanks for letting us chat with you today.
Hi.
It's evening, right?
Yeah, it is evening. Just a little bit after 9 p.m. here, just outside of Munich, Germany. So yeah.
Thanks for spending your evening with us. We are excited to get to know you a little bit. So kick us off by telling us first what program you graduated from and what you're up to now.
Yeah, so I graduated in September from the software development program. Looked for a job for a while and then got a job in Germany. And I've been working for Agineo since March of 2024. So I am almost done with my third month, which is really crazy to me because it feels sometimes like I just started yesterday and sometimes like I've been there for a long time. So
Yeah,
yeah.
things are fresh. Well, tell us a little bit about what you were doing before Flatiron School. Let's go back into the time machine for a little bit. What were you up to before, software engineering was a glimmer in your eye?
Yeah. So I studied history at the University of Arkansas, and I took a software development class back in university, and I really liked it. But I loved history so much, couldn't let it go. And I do think history gave me some good things, like my interest in the world and living in Europe. But I always just had this interest in software development. So I worked as a recruiter for about 3 years, and then I've always had this interest in Germany, so I decided to go there and be a German student. I actually got a job there as a recruiter, which is what I was doing in the US. But the visa fell through and I ended up back in the US and was feeling a little down about that, trying to figure out what do I want to do next? And I kind of remembered my interest on software development, got into some like Codecademy, doing some coding, talked to a bunch of family friends who were like, yeah, coding is going to keep being a thing. Like, why not try a boot camp? And did a lot of Googling and just consistently felt like Flatiron was going to be the best fit for me. So that's kind of what got me there.
Awesome. If you were to, I guess, speak to what it is about software development or software engineering in particular, that piques your interest or that just, keeps you really excited about it, what would you say those things might be?
I'd say like for me, a really big thing is like the problem solving aspect. So in my job currently, I'm doing some learning, but also some, like problem solving kind of like coding work. And I'd say like what really keeps me going is like just trying to figure out like why did this happen? How can I make this happen? What's going on here? And so yeah, that's I think what really keeps me interested is that like I find that really interesting and I have this feeling like I want to keep working. I want to keep driving towards finding a solution to this problem. That keeps me interested, keeps me awake, means I don't need 5 cups of coffee in a day kind of thing. So yeah, I'd say that's kind of what's really my favorite part about it.
Oh, love that. Although don't take my coffee away. I just no
Yeah,
matter
no,
what.
I'm still a 2 to 3 cup person, but without something exciting, I might be a 5 cup person.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Um, well, okay, so you decided to enroll in Flatiron after seeing what you saw on, the internet and felt good about that. Tell us a little bit about what the experience was like while you were in the program. First week. Do you remember what you felt at the end of that time?
Yeah, oh my gosh. My amazing instructors always talked about that it was like drinking from a fire hose, and it so was because there's so much information, you're trying to learn things so quickly. You're going through so much, but it's also like very exciting, very motivating. And honestly, I feel like something that my cohort did and that I feel like Flatiron does in general is really help make cohorts into feeling like you really know these people, like they're really like your friends. And I still talk to some of them like occasionally, like to this day. And I think that that really speaks to like that community aspect. And that's something that like from day one, I was like, I don't feel like I'm in an online course. I feel like I really know these people.
Hmm. Yeah, it's pretty powerful, especially it's so intense. You gotta like have someone there who's in the trenches with you.
Exactly, exactly.
Did you do the 15-week or were you on like a self-paced 20-week, 40-week program?
I did the 15-week one, which I think was a good fit for me because I didn't like have another job at that time. So it was like very hard work. Worked way more than just like the normal like 8 to 5, but like always in like an exciting, like I'm glad to be learning something new. Yeah, like feeling engaged and like my mind was really working, tired, but yeah, always having a good time.
Nice. And so you are about to finish up the program. Can you think, reflect back on sort of your time finishing up? What was, say, the hardest thing that you can recall during your time there?
I think the hardest thing was just like the beginning almost and the pace at which like the learning, like it took time to get used to me for the pace of learning. So there were 4 code challenges and I had to retake the first 2. So like you got a chance to retake them. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so lost. And then I kind of got in the groove and things got easier, even though we moved from front end to back end, which like for most people like me, like a history major, back end is going to be more challenging. But it's almost like I kind of like got into the groove and really started to like see some more like successes in the work that I was doing. And then I think also there was the feeling of like accomplishment in phase 5, our final phase, where we did like our own project, of just like, I built this and like I started from nothing and now here is a website, like crazy.
Yeah, really, really amazing that you can produce something so fast after learning something so quickly.
Yeah.
Huge. Um, well, tell us a little bit about, I pronounced it incorrectly, agineo. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, no worries. It's so hard to say. I feel like even now I say it wrong because all the German letters in it are really hard to say. I say agineo, but I'm not 100% sure that's even right. But yeah, so it's good. I would say that in terms of how it kind of like came about, it kind of came about in an unexpected way for me. I didn't have a lot of connections in Germany, and so I spent a lot of time just like trying to make things happen with the like general online applying and that kind of stuff. And actually, this job came about because I went to a job fair, and this job fair had everything from like postal worker to like army soldier and everything in between. It was a very like catch 'em all job fair. But there were a couple tech companies. I walked around like 3 times before talking to anyone, and it was quite a large hall because I was like, oh no, to talk about myself in German. Oh gosh, that's so scary. But I handed out my resume. Lots of people, like didn't email back, didn't call, but got the email from Agenio, got the interview, and that kind of turned into the job. And yeah, I feel like it was, like the proof that like sometimes you just got to get out there and be willing to put yourself in challenging situations in order to kind of like get what you're looking for. So yeah.
Amazing. That's cool. Um, Career fairs, I feel like, are one of these things that I forget exists because of the pandemic. And it's so nice to hear that, yeah, there's still a thing, and meeting people in real life is very much, uh, a gateway to making real connections and finding that next opportunity. So tell us what you're doing as a junior consultant for them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'd say that I'm doing like a lot of learning and then also some project work right now. So what that means like day to day is that I'm working both on like an external project for a company, and it's actually like in a recruiting kind of world. So that's kind of a nice, throwback to when I was a recruiter. And then also just learning a lot about the platform ServiceNow, which is the platform that we use and are helping our clients get engaged with. There's so much to learn. And the whole point of ServiceNow is that it's kind of like a low code, no code platform. So there's lot you can do without coding. That being said, would be a very hard job to do if you didn't have any technical background, because you have to be able to think like, okay, I want to build a condition, but like what condition do I want to build? What field do I want to call upon? So all of their it's like table-based JavaScript, and so there's SQL, there's JavaScript, but a lot of it is just kind of figuring out like what do I want the data to do for me in a very similar way to kind of like what I learned at and I feel like, there's days where I'm like, oh, I wish I was coding more. And then there's days where I was like, oh, I'm mixed bag.
Wow, sounds like you got a little bit of everything. And
Yeah.
that's awesome. So I guess in terms of resources, or support networks, did you find that you had, and you mentioned the cohort that you came up with, while you were in the program, were there any in particular, either networks or resources that you found to be most helpful while you were going through the program?
I would say that like going through the program, like definitely like being with the cohort was very helpful. I would also say that I think that even though like you're so intent upon everything that you're learning, it is important to take like all the career stuff seriously too, so that when you come out, you're not like floundering. So like take the resume building, take that kind of stuff like seriously, or else you're gonna come out the other end and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't take the resume thing seriously, and now I have a lot of work to do on my resume. So like taking the time to do that, I think is definitely important. So I've definitely felt supported by like the career people, and then afterwards by like my career mentor who really pushed me to go to these job fairs. Because I was like, oh, I don't want to. Oh, I don't feel like my German's good enough. Which is like, just go, just go. And so I feel like that was also super helpful.
Yeah, our coaches are pretty amazing folks. Um, what advice would you give to current students as they prepare to enter the tech workforce, or just even start the program?
Yeah, I would say in terms of like starting the program that like it will be so challenging but also so rewarding. And that just because you're really discouraged one day or even 1 hour doesn't mean you might not feel insanely inspired the next day or the next hour, because that unfortunately is kind of the way that coding works. It's like a lot of debugging, a lot of trying to figure out what has gone wrong here, how can I possibly fix it? And then the moment you fix it, you're like, oh my gosh, yes. And actually, one of the hardest things for me to learn, but something that I feel like my instructors really impressed upon me, is like the moment to take a break is sometimes after you have like that amazing victory moment, because then you're like, oh my gosh, I can keep going. But that actually sometimes is the moment to like take 5 minutes, take 10 minutes, take a breather, like relish in that success. And then you'll be better able to like see what you're doing next. So I feel like that was really important for me. And then yeah, lean on your cohort, like, meet people, make friends, spend that time with the people, because whether you're in a project with people or you're just hanging out, there's so much to learn from everyone else. So those are really important pieces for me.
That's great advice. Yeah, I like that. Relish just another beat in the success that you have. And that
Yeah.
can really energize you going forward. And yeah, there's so much to learn, right? I think that's something I hear a lot, is you can't possibly know it all, and that's okay.
That's so true. So true.
Well, let's open it up to some Q&A. Got a couple that have come in. Amy asks, let's see, how does assistance work? If a student had a question on an assignment that they don't understand, how would they be able to get in contact with someone to help them? Is there a live chat, or would this be a scenario of emailing instructors and waiting for an answer? So you were in an online course that was live, meaning I'll let you expand on what that meant.
Yeah, for sure. So I'd say that it was kind of a variety of things. So there definitely is like the help available that you can like reach out to someone. And I can't remember the exact hours, but they're available pretty late in the evening, and then some on the weekends as well. So there definitely is those people that are willing to help you, and willing to be there. And sometimes our instructors would help on the evening to check on us. But I'd say the biggest thing for me was actually being willing to like ask the people in your program, like even if it's a little bit scary, if you're in a live program, then yeah, like ask the other people, be like, I do not understand this lab, like what am I doing wrong? And then you might be able to help them with something the next day. And I feel like that's we had like kind of a couple of different like groups we were in, late night study chats, and would just be like, hey, does anyone want to hop on the Zoom, like we gotta we gotta figure this out. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think now there's also some chats that are available, if not 24/7, virtually 24/7, where you can ask a question anytime. And then there are also live technical coaches who can answer questions during specific hours. So whether it's, like you said, within like an online Zoom with your cohort or, a chat, there's support available. We've got some questions about just your, what do we call it? Expat, I guess. I don't know, I guess you're not here.
Yeah, the expat life.
The expat life. How's the transition been from living in the US to Germany?
So I was an au pair in Germany in 2017, and then I also lived here in 2021 and 2022. So I definitely had some previous experience. I would say that it's really rewarding, but obviously, like there are challenges. There are in big cities like Munich and Berlin and Frankfurt, you can get pretty far with just English, but knowing a little bit of German as well is quite helpful. I have friends who work at kindergartens or as engineers who don't use German at all. And then I have, friends who speak German every day. So there's definitely a kind of a variety of lived experiences here. But, I'd say that if people have interest in trying to move abroad, that it definitely is worth it. As per always, the visa world can be challenging. But I feel like it's really worth it to try something new.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm jealous. I wish I could do something. I'm old and settled down now, so probably. Well, anyone else with questions, please drop them into our Q&A. We've got a few more minutes. But while you are preparing your next question, looking back, is there anything you wish you had known or maybe done differently during your bootcamp journey?
That's a good question. Um, I think that I did the prep work pretty quickly, and I feel like maybe if I had spent a little bit more time on the prep work, I might have felt a little bit better prepared. But I feel like the biggest thing is like you're gonna get it, Like like we all have like an amazing capacity to learn and like an aptitude for learning if we're trying to strive to do something new in our lives. And I feel like so many times I got down on myself and I was like, oh no, like I'm never gonna get it, or like I can't believe that I messed this thing up. But like there'll be people in your boot camp who like have a undergraduate in computer science, and there'll be people who have never done computing in their lives. And so there's going to be a whole variety of different experiences, and to worry too much about like whether or not you're doing well enough it's really just a waste of time. It's hard to escape, and I definitely struggled with that, but yeah, just like giving yourself like the grace to just keep on moving, I feel like is really relevant.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. Can you come like put that on a poster?
Yeah.
Um, so someone asks a question that you may or may not be able to answer, of course, for a whole large population of people, but certainly from your own experience. The question is, how difficult is it for someone from a non-coding background to land a job? And how and what did you do to prepare for interviews?
Yeah, so I would say that it really like it just is going to depend on so many different things. So I'd say that for me, it really depended on like what I was looking for, and then also like my background, my experience, um, in terms of what like coding practice, I worked some with algorithms, didn't really have to end up doing like a full algorithmic like study test because of the fact that the work that I'm doing is more low code, no code. They were more like, what is your experience? Like what have you done? What has prepared you to be in a role where there will be some coding, rather than being like, you will be a junior software developer, and therefore we need like a much more intense kind of proofing of your coding skills. And so I would say for me, like it mattered that I was willing to get out there and try going to job fairs and try doing new things and meeting people and being willing to be uncomfortable. And I feel like that was kind of what was important for me. And then I'd say also like I still have the hope that maybe in the future I'll possibly be in a more coding related job. Like who knows what the future holds, but I feel like being willing to like accept that like you might not have like the biggest coding job in your world as your first job, I feel like that's also important.
Yeah, getting the first job is sometimes the hardest. And so getting that first experience can be really helpful in opening up doors into the next one.
Yeah.
We have another question coming in about, how you can sort of basically get yourself unstuck. Like, let's say your cohort wasn't available, you're staring, it's just you and the computer. How did you get yourself unstuck in some of those situations? Like, what resources did you use?
Yeah, I'd say that in terms of that, like, I mean, there's like a wealth of information out there. I mean, Stack Overflow, W3 Schools is great. There's a whole variety of resources out there. And I'd say what is like the most important thing, honestly, for me, like consistently, was like being willing to like walk away for 15 minutes. Because if you've just been staring at the computer for like so long, like I do that even now in my job, I'm like, I have to get a coffee because like I have been staring, I can't figure out, even if I'm not writing code, even if I'm just writing condition building work for ServiceNow, I can't figure out what condition will make this table work. And then sometimes you just gotta walk away for 10 minutes, talk to a friend, get a coffee, come back and look at it differently.
Yeah. Yeah. The mind needs some breaks sometimes. Well, we got another question coming in
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
from Amy. She asks, what kind of teaching style do our instructors have? So for your specific experience, what kind of teaching style would you say your instructors had?
In terms of teaching style, I would say that like both of them were like very open to like feedback, did a lot of lectures, asked questions during lectures. So if at all possible, like obviously there's always a wealth of things happening, but if at all possible, it is good to do the labs that they recommend you doing the night before the lecture, because there will be questions, and if no one answers, you might get called on. And be like, hey, did you? And you have to be like, no, I don't know what's going on. But I feel like in general, like a very like open to people being willing to like ask questions, open to kind of what people's thoughts were, and then also in general, like kind of guiding us through the different labs and stuff, was kind of the main way that our instruction worked.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. I've heard very similar experiences, and that it's not so much about giving people the answer. It's like helping you to think like an engineer. So teaching you to learn how to learn, problem solve, and be resourceful to get to the answer, that because there like isn't one answer, right? There could be multiple
Yeah,
answers.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah, it's the kind of the beauty of it, and also the curse. I don't know.
Yeah. That's how life sometimes is, though.
That's right. Well, we're wrapping up here. So I just want to thank everyone for sharing your questions, for joining us, and a huge thank you to Amelia for spending your evening with us. And if you would like to give us some thoughts on today's AMA, we'd love to hear from you. There's a link in the chat. Take just a couple minutes to fill that out for us, and we would really appreciate it. Yeah, a great question, Michelle. Where can we connect with you if we have more questions?
Yeah, let me drop my LinkedIn in here. That would be awesome. Always looking for some more LinkedIn connections. Let me pull that link really quickly. But yeah, I feel like LinkedIn is an endlessly valuable resource, and is always something that is worth getting out there, worth seeing who you're connected with and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Love it. Thanks so much, Amelia. Wait, let me grab it because I think it went
Oh, it's
to.
just, yeah, no.
Got you.
Awesome.
Great. Well, such a pleasure. Best of luck in the role and in getting settled into uh, a new country again. And yeah, hope you have a great rest of your evening. Same to everyone else. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And we will share out this recording in the next day or two, and see you guys on the internet. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.